This is Mehtab Hussain from degree third year. Today's topic is consequences of US exit from Afghanistan. So let us know this issue. What is going on? Actually, we are seeing in news recently. We are in news. This issue is very much highlighted. So why US is pulling back its troops from Afghanistan? So this topic is related to GS paper 2, and it comes under governance as well as international relations topic. So these are some of the topics related to this one. India and its neighborhood relation and bilateral bilateral regional global groupings and agreements involving India and affecting India's interests. Whatever agreements which are occurring in the world, global groupings, which involves India as well as India's interest, which is affected by these. All these topics are related to this one. So let us begin our topic with the history. Why actually US invaded Afghanistan? So we'll understand this in a short story type, and I'll not take much time. You have weekend test also. So first of all, let us understand history. Why US invaded Afghanistan? Why US has entered Afghanistan? So it has started from September 2001, when terror attacks occurred in US. Then President George Walker Bush has declared war on Afghanistan, which was ruled by Taliban. I hope you know what is Taliban. Taliban at the beginning, it was a student organization. Later, it has turned into a terrorist group. Then Afghanistan at that time in 2001 was ruled by Taliban. And there were attacks occurred in US, which are conducted by Al-Qaeda leaders. One of them was Osama bin Laden. I hope you know. So Afghanistan provided shelter for Al-Qaeda leaders, including Osama bin Laden. You can see him here. He is Osama bin Laden, who was responsible for the terror attacks in US. And Taliban refused to hand over him to US. US made a deal with Afghanistan that they have to hand over Al-Qaeda leaders as well, including Osama bin Laden. But Taliban has refused to do so. So Afghanistan has sent its troops to Afghanistan, and for the only reason in this way, the US has invaded Afghanistan. The main focus was to take revenge of the terror attacks. But in 2003, the main focus of US has shifted to Iran invasion, because Iran wanted to invade Afghanistan. But already Afghanistan was under the rule of religious extremists who wanted to implement Islamic policies, and it was not democratic. So US wanted to build centralized democratic system in the Afghanistan. So US did not left. Even after the announcement, US Defense Secretary announced in 2003 that their military operation for whatever they have went for the in Afghanistan, all those military operations are completed. But still, US did not went back. So it wanted to produce centralized democratic system. That's why US remained there. Then why the US wanted to make centralized democratic system in Afghanistan. But recently in news we see that US is pulling back its troops. What is the reason for the withdrawal of US troops? Let us see. Trump administration in agreement with Taliban has promised to pull back all its troops by May 2021. Trump administration has an agreement with Taliban. So in this agreement, Taliban has promised to reduce violence and cut down all its relations with foreign terrorist groups, so that Taliban can rule Afghanistan in a good way. And Trump also promised that he will pull back all its troops by May 2021. But it was, however, not possible. So Joe Biden extended it to the September 2021. Why in 2021? Because it completes 20 years of the terror attack which occurred in US. It occurred in 2021. Now 2021 is the 20th anniversary of these attacks. So let us come to the consequences. This was the history. Now what are the consequences related to this? So the first point consequences is withdrawal of American troops will certainly lead to advancement of Taliban across Afghanistan. Obviously, when US is pulling back, the Taliban gains power. If the Taliban gains power, it can control all the territories of Afghanistan. On one hand, US claims that it has pulled back 90% of its troops till now. So it was given time up to September 1st. So up 90% of its troops has already returned back to US. And on other hand, Taliban has got control over 85% of this territory. So Taliban is getting advanced and is gaining power in Afghanistan. If Taliban does not take into consideration the interests of people, it may lead to another civil war. So if Taliban controls rules Afghanistan, if it does not fulfill the interests of local people, it may lead to civil war also. This is one of the consequence for the Taliban only. Withdrawal of American troops will lead to getting attracted to China. China, which is planning to implement its model of governance, alternative model to the Western model. So US entered for the democratic system, centralized democratic governance, but China is planning to promote its alternative model for the Western model of governance. It already started in Asian region, so it could be a consequence. Then the separatist groups in China, there are several groups which are against China, could be supported by Taliban. So it could be a serious concern to China, as well as it could be a security threat to India also, because India is a neighboring country, and also it could be a security threat to other neighboring countries also. One more consequence: over the years, India is trying to build good relations with Afghanistan. So India has invested in infrastructure, education sector, power generation projects, etc. So these investments are in billions. So India has invested in Afghanistan for maintaining good relation. But if future Taliban government becomes part of Pakistan ISI, because Taliban has already connection with many terrorist groups. So if it becomes a part of Pakistani ISI, and anti-India terrorists can get support from Taliban. If they get support from Taliban, then it could be a serious threat to India, because India has invested in Afghanistan. So it could be a threat to India, because India's investments are present in Afghanistan. So it could be a threat to Pakistan also, because if you see the map, there is a Durand line here. This Durand line divides Afghanistan as well as Pakistan. So if Afghanistan Taliban gains power, there are several Taliban groups in Pakistan. For example, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP). This is a Taliban group present in Pakistan. If Taliban gains power in Afghanistan, then obviously Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan also gains power. They get support from Taliban, and they can occupy Pakistan territories. So it could be a serious threat to Pakistan. So it could be a threat even to Iran, because Iran is Shia ideology. Because if I explain, Islam is divided into two ideologies, Sunni and Shia. So Iran belongs to Shia ideology, whereas Taliban is of Sunni ideology. So obviously, Iran doesn't want Afghanistan to come under Sunni ideology. So Iran want to invade Afghanistan so that it can uh, implement Shia policy there, not Sunni. So this could arise serious conflicts among them. So let us conclude our topic. So the US exit from Afghanistan has triggered Taliban emergence. So you can write conclusion like this, because when US has exit Afghanistan, it could strengthen Taliban government. So Taliban can gain strength, and it can rule Afghanistan in its way, and it can lead to geopolitical flux. It can lead to geopolitics as well as instability in the region. Whereas India has investments in Afghanistan, so India has to focus on intensifying engagement with various Afghan groups. So India has to maintain good relationships with Afghan groups, including Taliban. So India has to maintain good relationships with Taliban also. Finding effective regional partners, whatever the regional political parties we can say are present in Afghanistan, or Afghanistan groups such as Taliban, India has to maintain good relations so that to protect its investments and maintain relationships as usual in future. So there is a need for the global community to fight against the global concern, because terrorism is a global concern, and it is mostly seen in Afghanistan due to terrorist attacks, terrorist groups which are like Taliban. So there is a need for the global community to fight against the global concern of terrorism. So you can write conclusion like this. So coming to mains question. So this is 2016 question mains. But this is not much related to our topic. But let us see. Increasing cross-border terrorist attacks in India and growing interference in the internal affairs of several member states of Pakistan are not conducive for the future of SARC. It is not good for the future of SARC. Explain with suitable examples. So Pakistan is a member of SARC as well as India is member of SARC. But Pakistan is supporting terrorist attacks, terrorist organizations. So this is not good for the future of SARC, this organization. So you have to explain with suitable examples. You can use this as one example, which we discussed the current topic, Afghanistan and US issues. Then again, one more question. The withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan had led to the emergence of new challenges for the regional powers. So US troops which are withdrawn from the Afghanistan has emerged new challenges for the regional powers. So you have to comment on it. As usual, everyone said that your introduction matters. If you write good introduction, your answer will be seen in the introduction only. So according to introduction, your answer will be perfectly matched. So a good introduction for the answers is important. Then coming to next question, how a recent power sharing agreement in Afghanistan will impact Indian interests in Afghanistan? Critically analyze. So we have to, when it is given critically analyze, you have to uh, focus on both positive and negative impacts. Then you have to conclude in a neutral manner, not supporting, not against the statement. So in this way, you have to answer this. You can take a screenshot and you can check it afterwards. And in this, okay, thank you very much. I'll conclude by this.